Today we're going to work on another church painting for our Color Study 7. This one's by Frederick Edwin Church, and this is Syria by the Sea. And this is in the Detroit Institute of Arts, so it's too far for us to go see it very easily, but it's very classical because it has Roman ruins and it has this beautiful light. So I thought this might be such an enjoyable painting that we would do it even though it isn't local. It is in America though. We could, stay on this side of the Atlantic to see it. All right, so we're gonna measure first. This is 6 and 15/16. And then, let's see, this is 4 and 9/8. So a little bit less than 7 and a little bit more than 4.5. And we have done dimensions similar to this before. So as always, we're going to find the center of our paper. So it's 9 by 6. So we're going to find the 4.5 for the long side. And we're going to find 3 inches for the short side. And then to measure outward, we said 4 and 9/16, right? Yep. So 4 and 9/16 is 16th more than 4.5. 4.5 would be 2 1/4, and then we're gonna go a 32nd bigger and put the middle of the 16th, or put the line between the middle of the 16th. And then mark the 0 and the 4 and 9/16 and do the same thing. I'm just moving it over. This is easy because I have a ruler that is clear, but if you don't have a clear ruler, you'll just look right above the marks on the ruler. So okay, and then I'm going to turn. And this one is almost 7, so it's 6 and 15/16. So half of 7 is going to be 3 1/2, and I want to go down a little bit. I want to go down a 16th, so I'm going to go move it over a 32nd and mark the 0 and the 6 and 15/16. And I'm going to go 3 1/2 and down. And really, I'm thinking about this mostly visually and practically. I'm not doing it the math, which is why I'm taking these shortcuts of rounding up and down. Okay, so here's my paper, and when I unstretch my paper, I'm gonna get an eraser, make sure that I erase any stray marks so that I have a nice clean margin around my paper. I'm gonna stretch this on here, and let's see. If I go right on the line, because I'm always trying to make a nice clean line, it's not on there quite as well as I want it to be. This is a small painting, so there actually isn't such a need for a lot of tape going this direction, because the smaller the paper, the less strong it is to fight against the tape. But I'm not trying to conserve tape in any kind of extreme sense, so I'm willing to put a couple extra pieces of tape. Okay, I'm going to tape this one. Also, if I had a bigger piece of paper, it might be better for me to stretch and then go inward, but I don't have to put the tape on my clothes if I do it the opposite way, so. Okay. So now we're gonna figure out which color, well, we're gonna set up our palette, actually. We don't have any paint, we need paint. And we're gonna always set up our palette the same way every time. And I mean this for us having the same paints every time, but also if we didn't have the same paints, like if I had more reds or a different set of things. Maybe I have like reds and greens and purple or something. Whatever kind of palette I have, I still want to set it up in rainbow order because I want analogous colors together. And actually, the more colors I have, the more important it is to set it up in order. Okay. I'm gonna do 2 whites so that I can keep one clean. And I'm gonna draw a circle. And that's my medium, okay? So it looks an awful lot like white paint. Remarkably similar. Most people would probably not tell the difference. If you line these up out of order, I wouldn't know. So I draw a circle just so you can get used to thinking of that as medium. All right, let's figure out which 3 colors. This one I feel like is pretty easy-ish. My choices are, well, I gotta have a blue and I have to have a pink. And we had this with Niagara Falls too. We had like blue and pink in the sky, so we could say maybe we would always look for that in church. And then we've got this yellowy brown. I guess we could say we have a green in here. But I'm gonna say we need like a light brown and a dark brown as one color, and then I need pink and blue. You could interpret this differently. I think somebody could argue with me that these are not the 3 colors that we should simplify to, but we gotta make a decision, right? And you can make a different decision than me. That is fine. I always want you to be reacting to church and what you see, or the masterwork, in this case, church, and what you see, and not just doing what I do. You're copying church. You don't need to copy me, especially if I'm not being helpful in that sense. All right, so, oh, see, look, I won't wait. So I'm gonna make a blue, and the last time when we mixed a blue for church, we needed it to be a little bit purple, and I think we also added black, and this is the same blue. I don't know what blue he's actually using, but okay, so we're gonna make a slightly purple blue, and this reduces the intensity some and also shifts the color. And I don't want to add too much because I don't want to lose all my paint. I can always add more red, but I can't take it out without making another pile. Okay, I'm gonna add a tiny bit of black. I'm gonna add black to half of it just to see what happens. And it might be too much black. Yep, it's too much black. Actually, it's not that bad. Okay. This one I could probably turn into a lighter color and be quite appropriate. Now this pink color is a purpley pink. So let's put some red down. And actually, I'm gonna steal a little bit of this blue. It's probably not enough blue, but I don't know. Maybe. All right, that's not really the color, but if we add white, let's see what happens. It's not bad, actually. Not real bad. We're getting close. I'm gonna add just a little bit more blue. I think this is slightly more purple. Okay, I'm going with that. It might be too much white, not exactly. That's, yeah, I might need to make, well, let's explore how to make this one that's on the horizon. Because I think actually that one might be a tiny bit of black. you see how I dabbed some off of my palette knife, and that just reduced the amount of paint that I had. Nope. Let's add more red back in. I think it does have black. I just think I'm like a little off at this point on the shade of purple. Okay, that's not bad. And then just to see what happens if I add white, if I take a little bit of this and a little bit of this. Okay, that's it, I think. Is this darker one or close? We'll have to see when I put it on the paper what it actually looks like. But you see how when I added a little bit of black, it went from like pink to mauve in a different way. All right, let's make a lot of this yellowy brown. So we know that brown is orange, and the way that we make orange brown is to add blue. But what I'm thinking about is instead of adding blue, if I add black, I don't know. And I could make a comparison, but I'm gonna try one and see what happens. Okay, so see how I've made green? That's the because the black has blue undertone to it. Okay, so we want to make it brown. Still pretty green. So we mix all the primaries, we get brown. So it's really a matter of like, which one are we trying to do? So I think I still want this kind of thing again. I did this last time in church, and you see how we're coming up with the same colors over and over again? And I think I made the last one actually with blue, so I'm probably off track here, making it like this. But we can see how this goes, and then, that's okay actually. I don't think I have enough of it to make this whole painting, and I'll end up remixing, but we'll see. And then I want to at least know what it looks like with white, because a lot of this is going to need white mixed in with it. Okay, is that the color? I might need red. Okay, yeah, that's more it. And let me add white again. So sometimes white can clarify color, because you see how much more visible it gets when we add white to it, but we can't add white to everything. We want to try to lighten as much as we can without using white, because you can get just like a haze throughout everything on your painting. I'm really committed to this being a buttery tan. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna, I don't know, somewhere in there. So I got my 3 colors, and we will start to paint. And I want to be nice and neat when I start off, because I want to, actually, let me do one more thing. Let me mix this darker brown, because there's enough in here that I'm gonna need a darker value. So let me take some of this, and let's just add a little bit of black. And see how that just, I don't know, it's like just too dark. It just made the color dark, and it didn't make this rich color that church has. You have to watch for that. It also shifted it too much to green, but you got to watch for that, because things are dark and light, but they're also changing hue. So nothing is as simple generally as just adding black or white. Okay. This horizon, I would say, is pretty much in the middle. So I'm gonna start with pink, even though I sat here and told myself I would start with pink. Because I want to show myself the horizon line. Every time I put a line in, I'm giving myself like a reference. Okay, I didn't use enough paint there, but yeah, I want to bring this down. And then this is actually closer to this color, but I don't want to put that in right now or it's going to make a mess. Okay, I'm calling this purple. We got kind of a purple mountain here. And then of course we're going to have to use some white. Church is great at these creamy whites. We'll have to see how we are at creamy whites today. And then this is purple over here. All right, so I sort of have a sky here. This column is important compositionally. This is the first thing that your eye sees, and it runs up and down the composition to get you into the rest of it. And I want to react to the drawing. I don't want to just like paint the whole bottom tan, because that doesn't give me the opportunity to just keep drawing and reacting to the drawing. This is yellow, a little lighter yellow. This is pink here, the way this mountain comes down. I want this pink to be more red. See that like craggy rock comes around. I still want it to be pinker, but we'll put it in here for now. Okay, and I actually think this is yellow. So I'm trying to figure out how I can show, using this tan, the differences between these different values and colors, because otherwise I got nothing structural going on here. So, and we'll try this one. I'll go to this one and see how it goes. This one's still a little bit light, but it's easy for me to go back in and make things darker because I can go to that one pretty quick. And as I layer, it goes slower, so I have more chance to think about what I'm doing, and it also adds interest to the painting. So it's this layering of reacting to the drawing that's quite interesting. Okay, I went up too high. There. Okay, I'm gonna have to get that spot. Got stuff down here. And this is where it's helpful that we have our paper is the same proportion as the canvas here. Okay, sort of a painting, starting. Okay, I'm gonna go to this blue. I don't have any blue yet. Okay, I'm okay with this for now. I got kind of a purple down here. This is probably too dark. And if we think about it, we can see why this is such a beautiful, appealing painting. Not only is it interesting, it's got this beautiful light, interesting subject, ancient ruins, but also look at the colors that we have here. Now, his colors are muted compared to what I've laid in here, but still pretty exciting. Yeah, this is just too purple and not pink enough. All right, that's okay. Maybe we'll fix it later. All right, so to balance what's going on here with this, I'm gonna try to go in with a little bit darker color and see if I can shape up some of these features. Because light and shadow are the ways that we can depict form and dimension. So we got this like ivy growing up the side of the column. That's a beautiful detail, actually. It shows time and life and passing away all at the same time. Pretty awesome, pretty brilliant. Okay. So putting these darks in here is going to give me the opportunity to put these lights in here, and they're just going to pop. And I can't get the amount of detail. This is like 7 feet wide, so I can't get the amount of detail that he's got. Oh. Okay. Do I need to move my column over? Yeah, I think I might need to go this way. It doesn't need to go this way. Or to make this work. Is that better? Maybe a little bit. See, if we went a little more towards green, we could get what's in between here. Because I've got the hill in. If I put light and shadow next to each other, it looks like, I'm sorry, light and dark together next to each other, it looks like shadow. It's essentially what we're doing when we're rendering light and shadow. Road that goes around. But the darks give the opportunity for the light, which is wonderful. Okay, we're gonna glaze a little bit because I want to take this down, but I don't want to have to mix another color. And I want some of this to show through, so let's see if we can glaze this. Here. this. Okay, so now I have some dimension here. Put a little bit of this lighter color in here that sort of all blends. I might need to bring this pink back out. Okay, I've got a little bit of a problem here because I want to move this column. Let me switch brushes. Okay. I'm gonna go back to my light color here. This is the other reason to put your paint in mounds, because it's gonna dry out. We only have a little bit of paint on here, on this palette, and so it just wants to dry out. It's one of the advantages and disadvantages of acrylic paint, that it dries quickly. Okay, so we'll put this highlight on this column. This over here, I needed more red. Put some highlights in here to try to get that sun on these objects. Got a lot of sun right here. Maybe a little more here. And definitely I might want to do that with a different brush. It's coming up here. And I think I need to glaze in order to soften that edge as this sort of haze comes up. saw this in Niagara Falls too. Okay, look at this really bright spot right there. A little bit of brightness here. See, it's starting to look like something. Okay. I don't like how green this is, so I'm gonna go back in here. Now if I can get this pink building in here, and then I can finish the sky and get this light, I'm gonna be doing what I need to do to finish this. So let me go back to this pink. I think this is too purple, we decided. Let me just lay in this. Yeah, it's too purple. It looks pink on the palette, but then turns out it's not. Okay, let's see if this is pink enough. Nope. See how this goes. Nope. A little more orange. Let's see if this color that I need will work as this orange. So because all these colors are harmonious, they can be possibly derived from each other, but I've got to get the value. No, this color is muddy. It's useless. It's gonna be lighter. Okay. I just need this color. We'll see. And if I glaze, can I make this kind of halo effect? Okay, see, it's coming together. Just a little bit and make it more yellow. And then I want these to look related, so. Almost. Okay, so if I get this dark in here and a little bit in the other corner, I think we'll have it framed. I gotta make more. Okay, and we're gonna call this a finished color study. Syria by the Sea.